It's time to play another game of Among Us. You're excited to find out who you'll be playing with, what map you'll be trying to survive, and whether you're a crew member or a dreaded imposter, out to sabotage the ship and kill your fellow crewmates while avoiding detection. You're pretty confident that you've got the hang of this game now. You know what to look for in an imposter, how to tackle the mini-games to repair your ship, and how to avoid arousing suspicion. As the game begins, you think this is your game to finally win, and the next thing you know, you're being tossed out of an airlock by your crewmates. Maybe next time. Why is this game so hard to win? What about the complex social dynamics and intrigue of this little indie game have made it one of the most frustrating and addictive multiplayer games available on the internet today? And most importantly, what do you need to change in order to finally see that winner's circle? The goals of Among Us are simple. Crew members want to repair the ship and eliminate the imposters via votes. There are 1 to 3 imposters in each game, and the game is won when the survivors successfully eliminate all of them. But if the imposters manage to sabotage the ship beyond repair, or get to an equal number of imposters and crewmates, it's game over. To win Among Us, you have to survive the meetings where the crew decides who to eject as a possible imposter. Every action you'll take over the course of the game is examined here, and you're judged, and the stakes are virtual life and death. So what are the most common mistakes players make that lead to an early exit from the spaceship? The first common mistake that leads to people losing their game is slacking off. Sure, it might have been fun to goof off in the back of the classroom when you were supposed to be doing your math homework, but this is a high-stakes situation. Your crewmates will be watching you like a hawk, and if you don't complete one of the mini-games needed to repair the ship, you might as well have a big imposter sign over your head. Many players get caught up in the suspense of trying to find imposters and neglect their task, but it's easy to lose the game because the ship wasn't repaired. Among Us is a team game above all, and they're counting on you to keep the ship running smoothly. The second common mistake is going it alone. This is especially important if you're in a game with only one imposter, which is common in smaller groups. If something goes wrong in your sector and you're the only one who's supposed to be there, your crewmates will immediately assume you're sabotaging them on purpose. If you're working with a duo, you'll have someone to back up your alibi. Plus, traveling solo deprives you of another important opportunity in this game, picking up intel on possible imposters. You'll need to speak up in the meetings, and that leads to the next mistake. The third mistake that can lead to an early exit is to accuse the wrong person in a meeting. This can't always be helped. Often the meetings are just people airing their suspicions and hoping they hit an imposter, but if you're the top advocate in the meeting for tossing someone out the airlock and they turn out to be a crew person, you're probably going to be in trouble the next round. The best way to avoid this is to always be the second person accusing someone, not the first. Don't make yourself a bigger target than you have to be, and carefully think before making any statement in the chat during a meeting. Your game life might just depend on it. Which leads directly to the fourth major mistake crewmates make. Everything you say in a meeting is important, so don't say too much if you don't have to. After an intense game of stalking around a ship filled with murderous imposters, having access to the chat can be a relief. Time to talk to your fellow players and blow off some steam, right? Wrong. You're here to find an imposter and throw someone out the airlock. Any player who floods the chat with nonsense jokes or unnecessary questions will be seen as trying to distract the other players and may immediately become a target themselves. It's better to watch the others as they make themselves more or less suspicious and make your case when the time is right. A fifth major mistake crewmates make is camping in one spot all game. Sure, security seems to be a nice position in the game. Camping at the cameras means you can see what everyone is doing, but it probably also means you're not completing your own tasks. You can argue at meetings that you're obviously not sabotaging anyone if you're behind the cameras, but you're also not much help at keeping the ship afloat. And there's a bigger problem with camping at security or communications. If your crewmates know exactly where you are at all times, so do the imposters, and that makes it very easy for them to sneak in and kill you as soon as the lights go off. But doing the opposite isn't great either. A sixth major mistake that costs people Among Us games is just running around without a point. It might seem like you're doing something, but your crewmates are smart and they can tell when you're just running around like a hyperactive chicken instead of accomplishing something. This is a common mistake of newbies, as they try to get their bearings on the map without memorizing it and wind up taking a lot of wrong turns. Before you even get started on your tasks, make sure to open the map, memorize the major locations, and know the quickest way to your core objectives. That way, you won't be running in and out of rooms without doing anything. Plus, the more you run around, the quicker you'll run into an imposter. So, if you're not supposed to stay in one place and you're not supposed to run around, what are you supposed to do? It's not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. The seventh common mistake crewmates make is not playing smart when doing their tasks. Too often, players will prioritize the wrong task, sending a whole group of players to tackle one thing. This is called stacking, and it's a good idea if you're concerned with being mistaken for the imposter, but not a good strategy for anything else. It gives any imposters bold enough to break away free run of most of the ship, especially dangerous near the end of the game. And while you're all watching each other, sabotages at other places in the ship can get completely out of control. There's one task, though, that's the most critical to tackle immediately. When the lights go off, everyone panics and many players make the 8th common mistake of Among Us. Playing in the dark can actually be pretty exciting. It adds a cool horror vibe to the game, but it's not just a vibe. As long as the lights are off, the imposters have a much easier time of sneaking around and killing whoever they want. Once the lights go off, the best strategy is to find a partner who you trust, as much as you can trust anyone in this game, and keep a wary eye out as you make your way over to the lights task. The good news is this is one of the easiest tasks in the game, and it only takes one person to complete it. The best way to survive a game of Among Us as a crewmate seems to be not to stand out. Do tasks you're supposed to be, don't be too active or too quiet, and don't accuse someone if you're not sure. But there's one other way to stand out, and that's the 9th and maybe the silliest way to get eliminated early in the game. Like many other online games, Among Us has microtransactions, and they allow you to buy new costumes and hats for your tiny crew member, as well as cute little pets that look like mini players that follow you around. It may be tempting to show them off to everyone in your game, but if you're parading around like Mr. Moneybags with all your spaceman swag, your teammates may just decide to target you first because they're a little jealous. Not standing out means avoiding showing off your cool gear too much in one game. But what if there's a twist? What if the game begins and you're named as an imposter? Now you have special powers like the ability to enter the vents and the ability to kill your fellow crew members, be it with spooky tentacles or a shiny new knife. Your goal is now very different: to sabotage the ship and wipe out as many crewmates as possible before being detected by your fellow players. It's easy to get lost in the chance to play the bad guy, and too many imposters games have ended early because of some simple errors. So what are some of the most common mistakes keeping you from winning a game as the imposter? The first common error made by imposters is taking too much advantage of that cool venting power. Yeah, it's a great way to get ahead of the people chasing you, but there's just one problem. It can only be done by imposters, and if someone sees you do it, you can bet they're gonna be calling a meeting in 2 seconds. If they're the only person who saw you vent, you can just deny it and say they're sus. Maybe it'll work, maybe you're headed for an early exit. But if more than one person sees you vent, it's game over. That's why it's important to only vent as an imposter when there's no other way out, or you don't expect the person you're venting near to be alive to tell anyone. Sabotaging the ship is an important part of an imposter's job, but how you sabotage will make all the difference between success and failure. The second major mistake imposters make that gets them found out early is sabotaging their own tasks. Yeah, you want the ship to fail, but the problem with going all in on sabotage is that everyone can see your assigned tasks. If they see your tasks failing repeatedly, they're going to assume you're the imposter, or just maybe really bad at the game. Either way, you're likely headed for the airlock. The best way to avoid this happening: be nice and diligent at your own tasks, and then spend your free time sabotaging everyone else's. Maybe target one person at a time for sabotage. After all, if their tasks keep failing, they're probably the imposter. As an imposter, you're going to see a lot of things you shouldn't, and that can be your downfall. The third common mistake made by imposters is to know things they shouldn't and then let other people know it. The layout of the ship via the vents is something only an imposter would know, and so is anything that happens in the dark. Only imposters can see in the dark, so if a meeting is called after a lights out incident, you need to be careful with what you say. It may be tempting to accuse a crewmate of something you saw in the dark, but if they think about how you saw it, it could be game over quickly. Meetings are fast-paced and you might have to come up with an alibi in a hurry, but a poorly thought-out alibi can be worse than not having one at all. As the game moves on, playing as an imposter becomes trickier, and that leads to the next mistake. The fourth common mistake imposters make is continuing to rely on getting someone alone to kill them. It might be tempting to follow someone and kill them when no one is looking, but as the numbers dwindle, it becomes easier to identify where everyone was during a task. If everyone is looking for who killed a crew member and you're the only one they can't account for, it's going to be a long trip out a short airlock for you. That's why it's better to rely on cutting the lights for your kills. It's one of the easiest sabotages to pull off, and it gives you a short time of free kills with no way for them to track you. So how do you make the most of your ability to kill? The fifth common mistake imposters make is to kill the wrong people. Sure, every kill makes it easier to win the game as an imposter, unless you kill another imposter, of course. But some kills help your games more than others. There's still going to be a meeting and a vote as soon as the body is discovered, so you need to make sure you're covered. That means making sure someone's around to take the fall. It's best to kill someone who has completed all their tasks and no one was going to vote for as the imposter, leaving that guy who keeps screwing up the electrical system as the fall guy while you plot your next move. Sound complicated? Only a little. Whether you're a crew member or an imposter, the key to winning an Among Us game is staying off the radar, accomplishing your tasks, and not making yourself a target, and of course a little bit of luck when the lights go down. For more on the hottest video games around, check out what would happen if you played Fortnite for 24 hours. And for more on the greatest video game you'll never play, watch why the most expensive video game ever will never be released.